Is there a new Ascent meta developing? Ascent has seen the same meta since Chamber was running around slapping everyone silly. And even when he was, people were still playing the meta comp. And since then, all we've seen is the Ascent comp, which contrives of Sova and KJ on B, Omen on A, and KO and Jet wherever they deem fit. The perfect balance of execute power and information.
Pretty, isn't it? Perfectly balanced.
Many people have tried over the years and failed to dethrone the Ascent King, but while some flew for a few matches, others never had enough speed to get off the ground. However, that wasn't until this guy joined. If you've seen my other videos, you'll know just how good Tejo is, and more importantly, just how broken this guy is on the attack side. This could prove very useful on the most defender-sided map in the game. Attempting to squeeze this guy into the meta could give us a shakeup in what we think the meta comp is. New comps have been cropping up across all the different leagues, all with varying degrees of success. All attempting to incorporate the Teao, some with breach and some with other changes, as everyone tries to scramble to stay at the forefront of the meta. We know Tejo is good on attack, but why is he so good on Ascent? He can very easily clear out corners that you can just forget about on an execute. Bringing this kind of execute power to Ascent, the most defender-sided map in the game, could prove extremely useful. However, changing the quote-unquote perfect comp means you have to sacrifice something good in the pursuit of greatness. So when we're thinking about changing this great comp, we need a seriously good reason to do so, and I believe Tejo can do just that. But when we add Tejo into the comp, we have to lose something. Smokes are out of the equation, so we have to look at our other options. A no duelist Ascent would prove extremely difficult for the narrow choke points, so I'm immediately going to rule that one out. We could see the Sentinel removed in favor of a triple initiator comp. However, I believe that since Vise entered the meta, she would prove very good on this map for organized play. In my mind, if we're replacing an agent, it needs to be one of the initiators. Since Tejo has no flashes, and I don't really want to lose those either, Sova would be first to go in my opinion. Let's make a list of the pros and cons of losing the Sova for Tejo here. Sova kinda sucks on B main now after the update, since you can't spam through the wall. The execute power with Tejo increases drastically, and you also keep a drone. And for the cons, finding enemies becomes harder, mid information is hard to gain, and the information cycle is poor. And what I mean by that is, when you had the KO and the Sova together, you could use the dart and the knife at different timings in order to gain better information. Since B main has been changed, we can no longer spam through the wall and make B main a hellscape for any attacker trying to get into B. Sova's defensive capabilities have dropped dramatically. So let's go through my proposed comp. KO, Tejo, Jet, Vise, Omen. Jet could be subbed for Waylay or Yoru, but I haven't really had time to theorycraft that one just yet, so more to come on that one later. So how does this comp work? Let's start with Vise. With the wall, it gives definite info. It's only going to go off once someone crosses the wall. Even if it gets baited out, it gives a lot more time for their team to flood or to rotate over. And also flank watch is always helpful on attack. Since the Sova is now useless on B, we'll primarily use the Vise on B. Moving on to KO. Since KO is our only flash initiator, we'll have to move him around between mid and primarily A main, all to set up other teammates. Being very active with the KO knife is very important, as this is now your only source of information. So throw it pretty much as soon as you get it back if you're lacking info. For the duelist slot, either Jet or Yoru, maybe Waylay, any of these can really work. Not entirely sure on the Waylay yet, but this gives some room to show some personality and any subtle differences to keep your gameplay interesting. This comp kinda sucks on defense, unfortunately. A lot of this comes from the inability to gain information in mid. The Tejo missiles have poor coverage of anything inside of mid, so we're forced to throw bodies at the problem, where the old comp could just throw a Sova dart in mid and call it a day. I think while people will always try to develop on this map, I don't see it happening quite yet. There's just one or two missing pieces for this Tejo to have a complete game plan, similar to the tried and tested comp. The Tejo definitely has legs, and if people want to try and evolve on this map, I think it can definitely work. It's just going to take a lot of prep and a lot of good ideas. If you guys enjoyed this more theory crafting style of video, please leave a like and a comment to let me know, and I'll look to do more in the future. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitch. Just throw it over there. They'll be in there, I swear. 9/11, let's go.